Both podcast. This is Court.
And this is Ashley. And we're coming at you live from Boston.
Happy drop day.
Happy drop day. We are fresh coming off of our Glow Bar event, which I know by the time this is coming out, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But we're riding the high of it. It was so much fun.
It was perfect weather.
Gorgeous sunset.
Amazing turnout.
Yep.
The goodie bags were insane.
Insanity.
Have you started to use any products from the goodie bag?
I have not.
The Isis Clinicals cleanser, so good.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited for the face mask that they added.
Yep.
The little roadie.
Yep.
Cute. Did you see the toner things that go in the freezer?
No, I didn't fully explore. I just saw the Isis and I took that one out real quick.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. They're these little circle tablets and it's liquid, but you put them in the freezer like an hour before you use them. And then you put it on like a cotton pad or something. And it's a toner that you like rub into your face. So I think it would depuff.
Wow.
And give you a serum.
Wow.
Really cool.
This is dangerous. This is introducing me to products I can't afford.
I know, and it's really bad timing for me because I've been in the process over the past month and a half of just using everything
Yep.
in my cabinet so that I can buy fresh. So these will be pulled into the rotation.
Wow.
And I may just be convinced.
Yeah. I mean, once you kind of start, you can't really go back.
No.
I have been on the skincare gods have been sending things my way as of recent.
Love
like,
that.
I just had my New York City event for work, and there was so much like gift bag product that had skincare and like really nice stuff too. And I have a whole new drawer of like amazing skincare.
Oh,
so
incredible.
I have to experiment, see what I like, you know,
Yeah.
and then I'll give some recs. But one thing I'll say off the bat, have you ever heard of Colleen Rothschild?
No.
Okay, so it's a skincare brand out of Dallas, Texas. Mm-hmm. It's been around for like years, but I think their target market is just like a bit older than us. Like, I'm sure our moms might know of it.
Okay.
And they were a client of mine for this past event, and we had this whole like activation at my event, whatever. And their marketing team gifted me like all of their favorite products, and it was like cleansers and lip balm. Like, they have everything that any other skincare brand would have, but I've been using it this week and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much better than Summer Fridays.
Really?
Yeah, it's their vitamin E lip moisturizer. They have like this gentle skin cleanser that I feel like has literally changed my skin over the past 3 uses of it.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow. And
Wait.
they're not carried in Sephora strategically. They're just not in big retailers. It's
Okay.
direct to consumer.
So do you have to
only
order like on
online.
their website?
So that's
Okay.
why I feel like it's harder for people to know that it,
Totally.
and like they can't try it out in a store. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder how many other amazing brands I just don't know about.
I know.
Because the girlies aren't tagging them on Instagram,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is so ideal to
Yeah.
have a killer product that's not all
Right?
over the internet.
Right? Yeah. So you'll have to try this.
Okay, you'll have to add that brand to our holiday gift guide.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh my God. I can't believe we're entering that time.
No,
of year.
I'm so excited.
I know. It's finally starting to feel like fall and winter.
Yeah, it's chilly.
It's actually cold. And I feel like we said that a few episodes like ago, but no, it's actually chilly now.
actually cold now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 49 degrees on my way over today.
Yeah, breaking 50.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm so excited to start wearing my winter coats. Every day when I'm walking to work, I go, Joe, like, do you think it's cold enough? He's like, no, not to wear the puffer. It's not, we're not there yet. Stop
No.
rushing it.
No. However, I'm noticing how dry my skin is. So I need to start.
No, because why is my skin flaking off?
And it's not even that cold yet.
I ran out of my acne medicine. So I'm a week, no acne medicine. And because I can't get a refill, it ran out. So they have to wait till I can see them. But my dermatologist is in New Hampshire. And it's just like so
whole
hard for me
thing.
to get up there. So I'm going next week when we're in Portsmouth. I get my period tomorrow. It's just
a
the
lot.
skin's like about to go through like a lot. Yeah,
But we'll get through it. And who knows,
I
maybe
did like a face mask last night. I'm like, okay, like protect me for the months to come. But
oh
yeah.
my gosh. Well, we digress. Shall
Yeah.
we get back to the event?
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys, we had these cocktails. What are they called?
What are they called?
Hold on, I will find out right now because they
Okay.
just posted about it. So the Glow Bar team flew in from New York City to support the event, Absolute Angels, and they brought these cocktails called Via Carota. Apparently, it's this really nice Italian restaurant in New York City that is venturing into canning their cocktails and selling them. And apparently it's like Taylor Swift's favorite restaurant.
Yeah.
So they brought us a Paloma, a Aperol Spritz, and a French 75, all bottled up in this like adorable packaging, like bottles that you would want displayed in your house with like flowers in it.
They're so cute and pretty. Like I want my fridge to be stocked full of them.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was just a lovely detail. And then close to 75 people truly showed out. People came with their work bags and stuff and did the little walk and hung out. We like closed the place down, and I don't know, it just made me feel so proud of us and like so happy. It's just so amazing. We talk about it all the time. Our podcast is so one-sided, so it's so important to do things like that to meet people on the other side.
Yeah. It was perfect.
Yeah.
No notes.
Yep. More to come.
More to come.
Yesterday, I feel like this week has just been a big week in general. You celebrated your 4 years yesterday with Joseph.
Well, so our event was on our 4 years.
Oh.
Yeah, the 8th.
Aw.
So, yeah, unfortunately, we rescheduled it. I wasn't even thinking at the time because I was like, I mean, we had no choice. It was the only date available for the reschedule.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, babe, I'm going to really need you to be supportive on our anniversary. But it's fine. Tonight, actually, the 10th, we are going to Zuma for dinner, which is
so
where
good.
we celebrated our 1-year anniversary.
Aw.
And I don't think either of us have been back since. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, 4 years together.
Wow. That's a lifetime.
Yeah. I think I'm finally at the point now, like after reaching 4 years, I'm like, wow, like we are really dating. Like it's real. Like it's real now. Like we're going to spend forever together.
I know. Matt and I had that realization last night because when I say we haven't had a date night in God only knows how long.
Yeah.
Of course we have like takeout dinners, right? But we haven't gone out to dinner in forever. And so I was sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so nice. Like it kind of felt like not a first date, obviously, but we kind of treated it as like a really special moment because it hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah.
And Matt was like, and just think, we're going to have dates like this forever. And I was like, oh my God, like we truly are. How fucking crazy is that?
Yeah.
Like for the next 60 plus years, like God willing, you know? Maybe less than that, but you know what I mean? It's so wild.
Yeah.
But that's funny that you're like, wow, Joe, we're dating.
Like,
yeah,
we're
like
really
no fucking
dating.
shit.
Yeah. Well, because I was like, okay, 1 year, we're just starting. Like, anything could happen.
Yeah.
2 years, it's like, okay, serious, but like a lot of people date for 2 years. 3 years, it's like, okay, significant, but it doesn't seem that significant.
Oh
but
my God.
4 years, I'm like, okay, that is an entire college lifetime. That's an entire, like, high school. Like, 4 years is a lot can change. You change as a person in 4 years.
Yep.
And we're changing together now. Like we are one. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I really feel super solid. I've always felt solid. But just reaching this milestone, I'm like, yes.
I love that for you. Yes.
Originally, I was like, I don't even think I'm going to feel that way at 4. But 5 years, that's significant. But 5 years is like, wait, you guys are like still dating and not engaged. And that's what I'm not excited for.
Yeah.
But 4 years is like the sweet spot. I'm
Yeah.
in my honeymoon era right now.
Aw.
Yeah.
So cute. I love the way little things like that can bring you back to like a honeymoon phase. Like you can turn anything, no matter how
Anything
long
can
you've
be
been with
turned
someone.
yeah.
Anything can turn into a time in your life that you want it to be, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So good.
Oh, and you want to know the best part about our anniversary?
What?
We decided not to do gifts this year. And because we're going to Miami.
Yes.
And my life is so much better for it. I don't like gifts. I don't like giving gifts. I don't like receiving gifts. Let's take the stress out of something beautiful, you know?
Yeah. I thought you liked giving gifts.
No,
But like if something
wanted-
speaks to you.
I wanted to be an amazing gift giver. I'm just not. Because like, so somebody I love in my life no gift I can come up with is ever going to be the perfect gift, and it's like a failure in my eyes. I'm like, okay, here's this gift, but like it doesn't even show you how much I care about you and how much I know you. So it just feels insignificant. Like I'd rather just not give it.
Okay.
I'm just not creative enough for gifts. It's so much pressure.
I have a gift to you for tomorrow.
For tomorrow?
Just don't worry about it. But I'm thinking of how good of a gift giver I am. It's literally nothing. No, it's literally nothing crazy. But it's just something that I saw and I thought of you.
Okay, those are different. Like, if you're out and about and, like, you see something, you're like, oh, my God, yes, this is screaming this person.
Yeah.
Then, of course, now I'm like, oh, I love gift giving. Yeah. Because, like, I found the perfect gift.
Yeah.
But when it's like, okay, a birthday's coming up, then you're just getting a present for the sake of the event. Yeah. I'd rather get the gift because it spoke to me about the person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. It's like you need to start your year with, okay, these are the items, or these are the people I need to buy for at some point this year. And then just while you're living your life, if something pops into your head that reminds you of the person, you have to like get it then.
That's why I've had the Christmas Excel created since September 1.
How's that going?
Nothing's added to it. I think I've added like 2 things to it. But yeah, it's a lot.
I get it. I do.
We digress.
Do we have any other updates to share?
No, I don't think so. I think we have to get into it.
I agree. Ladies, and probably just ladies, today is a very important episode because we are talking about truly the reason that we started You Can Do Both. Mm-hmm. We're going to be diving into how to navigate corporate America / your career with your passion projects, your side hustles, things that bring you joy. And I know that You Can Do Both is all about, balance and harmony, and that can mean something different for everyone, but we've never really talked about how to actually do both.
Yeah. And 89 podcast episodes later, which is crazy. Honestly, we apologize for not bringing this to you sooner, but think about it this way. We've done this for 2.5 years, 89 episodes of doing both. Dare I say we're experts.
I was just going to say, I am not an expert at this moment. No, listen, life happens in seasons. There's busier seasons, there's not. But at the end of the day, we know how to do it, you know? Yeah. But,
I feel so confident in sharing how to do both at this point in time. So you guys wouldn't have even wanted to hear from us at the beginning 2 years ago.
No, God, no. Yeah. But now we're just a wealth of knowledge.
We really are.
Honestly, I hear it a lot from like random people writing in about how, they have this 9-to-5 job and they have a desire to start something new, but they just simply don't know how or don't know where to start. And we're here to tell you there is no right or wrong way to start. All you have to do is do it. Some of you may know this story, some of you may not, but You Can Do Both was literally founded while we were sitting at a bar having spicy margaritas before a Celtics game.
Yep.
It was a long time coming for sure. Ashley and I had always jokingly said, we should have a podcast, or we should do something together. Call Her Daddy was the first podcast that we were really introduced to, and it was kind of at the height of our college, reckless, unhinged era. And I'm sure every girl group conversation can sometimes result to like, oh my God, we should totally have a podcast. We should totally do this. Like, if they can do it, we can do it type of thing. Mm-hmm. But it took us 2 years and a night where we were feeling ourselves, just us two at a bar, to pull the trigger.
Yeah. And I think this is super relatable because not everybody, the majority of people in the back of their minds are like, oh, if only like I had the time, I would start this. Like, it doesn't have to be a podcast with your friend. It can be something solo, but something you always come back to that you're like, oh, if I didn't have to work my 9-to-5 job and I could work for myself, I would do this. And it's always in the back of people's minds, but they never put a priority on it. So this was always in the back of our mind. And one time we just pulled the trigger. And I think that is, well, I guess we should go into why we pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
this is kind of part of our elevator pitch when we're meeting new people, like, oh, why'd you guys start the podcast? And it really comes down to Court and I were roughly, was it 2 years out of college?
Yeah, like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. And so we were really getting into the swing of corporate America in this new chapter. And nobody really tells you how to navigate post-college life. It's really the first time where there's no direction. Like, you're in school for your entire life, and then they just kind of throw you to the wolves. So once you finally get into your routine of the 9 to 5, I personally found myself, that consumed my entire life.
Yeah.
It was, I wake up, I work out, I go to work, I come home, I eat, and I go to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there has to be more to life than this. I need a hobby. I need something to work on. My job is also very analytical. And I'm a creative person. As much as I pretend not to be like, oh, I'm not creative, I can't do that.
Oh my God,
I
yeah, you
need
are.
like that itch scratched.
Yeah.
It's so fun and so different from my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So for me, I was telling Court this. I was like, there has to be more to life. Like, I want to be doing something else, working on something else in my off time.
Yep.
So that was my why.
Yeah, and mine was similar. My job is more, like, my 9 to 5 is more closely to what we do. Of course, it's not podcast rooted, but it's helping entrepreneurs or side hustlers, like, do what they do best. And I feel like I was more so helping so many people achieve their dreams and go after things that they wanted, that I was like, hold on, if I can be this support system and give people actionable advice to grow whatever it is that they were growing, why should I not be able to do that for myself and with my best friend? And so that's kind of where my itch came from. I was like, wait, like, I've always wanted to do something. I've always wanted to build something. And what better way to do it than with someone that I love and with someone that has the same ambition that I do?
Yeah.
And I think that's also kind of like a sticking point for some people is, oh, but I don't want to do it by myself. And like, I wish I had someone, like, I highly recommend having some sort of business partner or person that you can do something creative with, because it just keeps you accountable. And I think if you are doing something outside of a 9 to 5, like, it, depending on what it is, it can be a lot of work. So it's really nice to have a partner or a thought partner. But at the same time, like, whatever you do outside of your 9 to 5, you should do because you have the desire and the passion for it. So no matter what, it's not going to feel like work. So just because you don't have somebody to do it with doesn't mean that it can't be done by yourself. And even if you want to do something by yourself, all you have to do is have a close friend in your circle that's rooting for you to help you get it off the ground, even if they're not a partner with it for you.
Yeah, a close friend, a boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Call your sibling, call your parents, someone to give updates to, and again, to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Basically, and that comes down to when you want to achieve your goal, just tell somebody about it.
Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Because once it's out there, people will follow up and ask questions.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Like, I've caught myself in situations still to this day where I'm like, I want to do X. And Matt's like, Matt, you've been telling me that you wanted to do X forever since I've known you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but I don't have time, or I don't have the energy, which are sometimes very valid excuses. But like, if you want to do something, the only person that's stopping you from doing it is yourself.
Always.
Always.
On top of your why, there's also an importance factor of this, like why it is important to find a passion, find a side hustle, find something that you're passionate about outside of your corporate America 9 to 5 job. And there's a whole list of reasons, and we can definitely name a few. One of the biggest ones for me, and I mentioned it earlier, but something that would stimulate my mind in a different way than my 9 to 5 job is. Like, I spend 8 to 10 hours working with numbers and data and all of this, and I do have a creative side to me. I need some way to express that, and that's something that is fulfilling, and you can do both. It is something so, so different.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that are like, this is not my life's passion. This just pays the bills.
Yeah.
Okay, so find something that will stimulate you and reward you for your hard work. It's okay to have a 9 to 5 that just pays the bills. It doesn't have to be your passion.
Yeah.
That's what these side hustles.
For most people, it's not.
Absolutely.
It's literally just something that they're good at and something that has stability, and that's all it needs to be.
100%.
And then for me, I'd say the biggest thing that has come out of having a side project that I didn't expect was the people. You don't understand the amount, because I guess let's be real. There's very few people that have things outside of their 9 to 5, like comparatively to the people that have 9 to 5s and nothing else, right?
Yes.
And so the people that are doing things specifically on social media, it's a very small circle. Like if I see somebody that's building something in the Boston area, I'm like immediate follow, immediately start interacting with their content, because it's just a way to connect in a way that like you can't connect with somebody that's not doing it.
Yeah.
Perfect example. One of our best friends to this day, McKenna, she's building C of E. She found our podcast on Instagram. And I think since she was new to the city, someone actually referred her to listen to our podcast. She reached out to us and she was like, hey, like, love what you guys are doing. Would love to get lunch sometime. She's phrased it as like a potential business meeting. Maybe we could partner up. We met up. Do we love the brand and are we aligned and can we do business together? Absolutely. What we loved even more was her personality and how she talked about her boyfriend. We were like, hold up, sure, we can do business, but more importantly, let's hang out.
Yeah.
And now she's a best friend of ours because of it. So you just never know. And another example that's more business oriented, like this Glow Bar event came from just putting ourselves out there. And I was on a work trip literally 2 years ago and shared with somebody that I have this podcast that's based in Boston, and this girl's sister is head of marketing for Glow Bar and reached out to us. Like you just never know who you're going to meet or who you're going to be connected to that's either building things or can help you kind of get to a next place in your hobby passion business.
Yeah. And it's really fun to meet these types of people because the energy that you're met with when you meet another, I'll call them creative.
Yeah.
Or
bother. Like whether they're a listener or not, they're doing both.
Yeah, exactly. You just, Court mentioned this, but like you connect on a deeper level. There's like a respect factor to it. And it's like, oh, good on you. Like I'm there with you. Like, look at us. We're go-getters.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it's not a business, like perfect example, one of my friends started taking pottery classes. Yeah. Just to do something different. She works on Wall Street in New York, and she's like, I'm going to take pottery lessons, a 6-week course. And she's made so many friends through it. Like, it doesn't need to be as serious as a business or I'm going to start pursuing social media and become a content creator. Like, yes, that opens doors, but it can literally be anything.
No, another great example is training for a marathon or a half marathon. Like, do you know how hard it is to hold yourself accountable to like a training schedule, actually want to get up and run 6 miles before your 9 to 5 job? Like when you tell people at work even, they're like, what? You're training to run this much? Like you ran 8 miles before work today? Like it's amazing. You're doing both. Like you're really pursuing a fitness achievement. Like it's really cool. So there's so many, I feel like we're going to focus on the business side of things, but there's so many different things that you can do both with.
And you have no idea the people that come out of the woodworks when you are doing something more so publicly. Like, perfect example, this guy from college saw that Ashley started training for a half marathon and sent her a training schedule.
Yeah, that was like the best thing that ever happened to me.
Like, how crazy. Like, I have people, I'm not even going to call them friends, but more so acquaintances from high school that I like played volleyball with back in the day that are now like, you can do both, like #1 fans, and it like keeps you connected. Listen, like meeting some of you like in person, and when people come up to us and are like, oh my gosh, I listened to the podcast, it's like immediately, it's just it's the best feeling in the entire world. Like you meet so many amazing people, and that's probably one of the hardest things once you graduate from college. And especially if you work remotely or you don't vibe with the people in your office, like how do you meet people? This is how.
Absolutely.
Wow, there's a lot of passion in this episode. I could go off on every single point.
I know. I love that, but that's like, this is exactly everything we're talking about today is why we're here.
Yeah.
And like truly what fuels us to keep it going. So There's a lot of passion behind our passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, a couple other items I do think it's important for us to add under like why it is important to pursue a passion or a hobby. It does remind you that there is more to life. Like I feel so fulfilled when I am pursuing even other things outside of, you can do both outside my 9 to 5. Like it is so easy to fall into the routine of coming home, making dinner, and going to bed. But we forget how much time there actually is between the end of your workday and before your head hits the pillow.
Yeah.
And it's up to you if you want to scroll on TikTok, if you want to binge a Netflix show, or if you want to get out there, meet new people, learn new skills. And then learning new skills is the other piece of this. This podcast specifically has made me speak so much better, and I'm sure a bunch of you are screaming right now saying, you use so many ums and likes and you stutter and you still like have questions about blah, 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 blah. But if you listen to the very beginning of this, how many times would I fact check you with, did I use the right word? Like, I'm not sure. Like, is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure. Like, the confidence it has built in me, my fear of public speaking, while this is not public, I have gotten so comfortable talking into a microphone, talking in front of you, and then putting my voice out there on the internet for the world to see, that when I go into a business meeting, I've been told I'm a phenomenal presenter. I genuinely don't think that would have happened if it wasn't for the podcast.
It's so true. It's so true.
So I think the new skills is really real. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, you learn new skills. No, you really do learn new skills.
Yeah. Okay. So clearly, you know why it's so important, our personal reasons, but everyone always asks how. Like, truly, how do you do both? Especially if you have a job that maybe is more energy consuming than others, or you just have a busy life. Like, it's so real. Likely, if you're listening to this episode, you either are doing a lot of things and have different facets, or you would like to be. And the biggest barrier to entry for people that want to start things or want to devote more time to different hobbies is literally, where do I find the time outside of the weekends? And so we're going to talk about tactically and actionably how you do that. And I'd say the first thing is time blocking. It's like, and I know you hear us talk about this all the time, but there is actual time in the morning for you to spend doing something else outside of just waking up right before you need to start work or need to start getting ready for work. And then also create a boundary of a hard stop at work so that you can then have time to live your life and do things. Like, I think a lot of people, myself included, especially if you work remotely or you kind of have a smaller team or a high pressure job, like it's very easy to let work kind of take over in certain capacities. And I will be the first to remind you that no matter how much work you put into your day, you need to be doing the things that you need to do well at your job, yes. But you're not going to get paid any differently if you put in an extra 3 hours or whatever. Goal in life is not live to work, it's work to live. And so if you don't set those boundaries early on, then you likely won't have time. So it's literally up to you to decide when exactly you have time to work on your passion projects and when you don't, and when you can set those boundaries to make it possible.
Yeah, and this is a working skill.
Yeah.
Because if you think about, again, we're going to relate almost everything back to the podcast, but Court and I used to strictly record on Sundays. We were like, okay, Sundays is our day. And then we felt exhausted because it was one of the 2 days we had off.
Yeah.
And we didn't start recording in the morning until late last season. Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
And now almost every single one of our episodes are recorded between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. before work on a weekday.
Yeah.
And it's great because, okay, it's one morning that we don't go to the gym, but usually it bakes right into our routine. Find what works for you. Maybe you're not a morning person. Maybe that's not realistic. But there's other blocks throughout the day that you can say, okay, this is my designated passion project timing.
Yeah.
And time blocking goes both ends, right? It's not like, okay, here's where I'm going to stop working my 9 to 5 and start working my passion project at 6 p.m. It's like, okay, but you can also time block it on the other end. You can't let your passion consume your entire life, because that's when things get stressful and out of hand, and it's really hard to establish those boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, you have to say, I always do this when editing. I'm like, okay, I have a lot to do tonight, but I'm going to time block 1 hour of editing tonight. And it's like 1 hour, and then I move on with my day. The same way that you time block at work, like if you're on like a big project, like maybe you're only allocated 2 hours of work. Okay, do your 1 to 2 hours, figure out what works for you, and then work really hard in that time blocked section.
Yeah.
But then leave it at that.
Yeah. And also, I'd like to know, like, these mornings that we do this, the trajectory of my day has changed. So although it's like work per se, and those that aren't watching, I'm giving air quotations, like it's a passion project, right? So it should be very easy to want to find time in your schedule to allocate your energy towards this.
100%.
And so literally, like, these are my favorite mornings of the week, because one, it switches up the routine. Mm-hmm. And number two, it's something that I love so much that I get to do with a best friend. And then it literally makes my day and sets me up on the right foot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And this is something to note, like, if you're not excited and looking forward to, you know, these blocks of time, maybe it's not the right passion, or maybe this schedule's like not working for you.
Yeah.
Because there were days where both of us would show up to a recording session on a Sunday morning, like hungover, tired, not wanting to be there because we have a full Sunday reset ahead of us. And we'd be like, oh, this like isn't really working. Like, pay attention to how you're feeling, because to Court's point, this passion is supposed to fuel you. You're supposed to be so excited. That's why we would dedicate time outside of your paying 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, exactly. And a couple of other examples too. We used to try to record after work. Mm-hmm. And do you know how hard it is to be always on for 8 hours and then shift your brain to do something entirely different and like be front facing, speaking into a mic, into a camera after a draining day? Like, not possible.
No.
So that was a learning, and you'll experience that too, I'm sure. Learning. I know. I've been phrasing that a lot in my work. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was an L, but actually it was a learning.
Yeah.
Like, not a loss, just a quick reframe. Okay, so once you have this schedule and like times within your week that you're going to devote to this, one thing that I highly recommend that has entirely changed the game for Ashley and I is having an admin meeting. Mm-hmm. So this is something you can do by yourself, or if you have a business partner, great. It's Tuesday evenings, and we basically just create our to-do list for the week. If you didn't know from last episode or 2 episodes ago, clearly we're list people. Ashley more than me, thank God. Need the structure in my life. But it's literally just a time to check in and be like, okay, what can we do this week to push the needle forward? But also that's something that's attainable, that's not going to be draining with everything else that we have going on in our lives.
Yeah. It's also a point to reflect on our to-dos from the previous week. So it makes us being held accountable.
Yeah.
Like, there's no worse feeling than showing up to the meeting and
unprepared.
Be like, hey, here are all my to-dos. My name's literally next to it, and like I didn't get it done.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're hardworking people. Like, come on, like, let's go. Like, it's very motivating, especially when you have a partner there. And then again, moving the needle, like, you know that, okay, here are the things, we're making progress, and that's all you can hope for. But there are times when like we have fallen off from our business meeting and things don't get done. So if there's one piece you take away from it, like, I would say this admin day, or this business meeting as we like to call it, which is really cute when you think about it. We're like, you can do both business meeting.
Yeah. So and Matt's like, why is Ashley calling you? I'm like, we have a business meeting.
It's a business meeting.
He goes, don't you guys talk all day long? Like, what the hell? I'm like, no, but you don't get it.
This is specifically dedicated to business.
Yeah. And I'd like to also share, this is a 30-minute meeting. Like, it's not as crazy and as professional and as intense as it may sound. Like, it's truly just a way to keep ourselves on track.
Yeah. But it is really game-changing.
Truly. When we don't have them, nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. We don't know what we're working towards.
No. We're like, what are our goals?
Yeah.
What's our why?
Why are we doing this? Which is a great transition into goal setting.
Yeah. Goal setting is also a super important piece of pursuing a side hustle or a passion project. And again, it doesn't have to be business focused. Maybe you're getting into running and your goal is a half marathon, like mine was. You need a plan and actionable end goals so that you can work backwards and know your why. Like if you're gonna wake up on a Sunday after a crazy weekend and you have to do a long run, you need to know why. It's like, okay, so I feel prepared when I have to run 13.1 miles in 6 weeks. Now, did I do that this past time around? No. But the first time I did, because it was new and like I set a goal out for myself, and it allowed me to establish a plan and know like why I was working towards something.
I mean, goals look different for everyone, but getting a side job could be a literal goal. Like I'm thinking of one of our friends who was just simply not making enough money in her 9 to 5. And so started working at a Pilates studio on the side. Like it truly could be anything. But as long as what Ashley said, you have your why behind it, the why is what then fuels your goals. You need your why first to come back to, but then goals constantly change, and it's like you decide what your goalpost is depending on where you are and what you're doing in the exact moment.
And if they're not aligned, like you have to workshop it.
Yeah, 100%. The number one hack for wanting to do both, especially if you want the both to eventually take off and maybe become your full-time situation, is you need to get a 9 to 5 that allows you to do both, meaning that it doesn't deplete you at the end of the day. You have more to give to other people in your life. And I know that sometimes this is not always controllable. Like there are certain situations that you find yourself in that you need to be in for stability reasons or for what have you. But if you want the longevity to be doing both, you need to be really strategic with what you're doing throughout the day to pay the bills. And for some people, it looks different. I always think back to Lauren Bostic. She, when she was starting her business 14 years ago, she was like really, really honing into the blog era. She was a bartender at night, so she could work on her things throughout the day. So she had a way to pay her bills, but then she also focused the majority of her time on what she was doing. And on this side, from our perspective, it's getting a job that allows you to clock out at a reasonable hour so then you can then have passion to put forward to something else.
Yeah. From my perspective, when I started my corporate America 9 to 5 job, I had pretty normal like working hours, and the reason I wanted to pursue this was because I had a lot of free time.
Yeah.
If you're in investment banking and you're working until 11 p.m. or midnight, that is not a job you can do both with. Joe has a good friend who lives in New York. He works a job in investment banking or finance something. He doesn't get home until 10, 11, 12, but he wants to be a DJ as well on the side.
Talk about you doing both.
So he wants to do both, but he's like, it's impossible. Like I come home, I have to make dinner. I'm eating at like midnight, and then I stay up until like 2, 3 a.m. working on my music, only to sleep for an hour or two, and then I have to go back to work. It's like, that is not sustainable.
Yeah.
You have to, if you really want to pursue the DJing, you have to find another job. It's just, that's the reality of the situation. Another piece I do want to mention is I think sometimes people can get carried away with the whole side hustle, side passion. Like, I want this to be my full-time thing. Like, I don't even care about my 9 to 5. Your priorities, at least starting out, need to be what is paying your bills. Your 9 to 5 job does take priority. You need to be doing a really good job at work so you can feel confident logging off at a reasonable hour. That's at least what works for me. I slay the day away at work, and I feel so confident in my work that I'm empowered to close the laptop and spend time working on you can do both. And the other thing is, I've also personally found, and I've mentioned this like 5 times already, but I want to call it out in this point specifically, having a 9 to 5 job that is so different than what your side hobby or passion is, it has been really motivating for me, because after a full day of work, it's so fun for me to turn off my data brain and do something creative and fun. Like, some days I'm so exhausted from work, but when I need to be fueled, I actually turn to You Can Do Both.
Yeah.
Because it's so different. And I found that having the contrast in the two really works in my favor. Now, I know you're kind of on the opposite end.
Yeah.
Yours is more similar. And maybe that, I think it's dependent person to person, because I think you come home from like work trips and events, and you're actually more fueled to and motivated to pour more into You Can Do Both.
Exactly.
So I think it depends on the two. I guess I think of like marketing, like if I worked in influencer relationships and then I was also trying to be an influencer on the side, I could see how that's just like too much influencing all in one.
Yeah.
That you would drain.
Yes. However, it's like it's our area of expertise. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes, like, yes, I hear you, and contrast is very important, because some days I'm like, oh my God, the last thing I want to do is be on Instagram right now. Like, truly, I've been here all day, like whatever, even though that's not as much my reality anymore. But it like having the knowledge base and having the inspiration that I'm looking at all day long, to then be like, wait, I can do this too, it almost fuels me even more as well. So totally depends on the day and the person, but no matter the situation, like, as long as you have something that you're passionate about, like, you can let your 9 to 5 kind of work into your favor, whether it be contrasting or like it's more expertise to put into your passion.
Yeah. So something to think about. Think about like what you would prefer. And I think it definitely depends on the passion and the person.
Yeah.
Some other things to look for in a 9 to 5 job is, what's the company culture like? Are you working for a company that encourages you to live your life outside of work? Or is it like the only way to get here is to climb up the ladder, work overtime, be the last one here? I work for a company where my managers are logging off a little bit early to go to their kids' soccer games.
Yeah.
Because they know what's important.
Yeah.
It's okay if you have a doctor's appointment in the middle of the day. Like, take care of your health.
Yeah.
Take care of you and your family, because that's what's important. The company will still be here, and you're a great employee. You do a really good job. Like, that's no problem.
Yeah.
I work for a company that cares about its people. And so I just found myself in a really good position. But if, as I'm saying these things, you're like, oh, my company would never, maybe those are some red flags about your company, and it is time to look for better company culture.
Yeah. And I will say it's easier said than done. I have found myself in both situations where I worked for a previous company that was absolutely amazing, and I was definitely busy and was thriving, and I had the time and energy to put forward into this. And currently and transparently, like, I work for a startup now, and I did not realize when I got into it, like, how draining it would be, at least in the beginning. And so I will say, if you're in a situation like me right now where you are drained and you still love what you're doing in your day-to-day and what's paying the bills, like, that is fine too. But how I'm framing it right now is that this is just a really chaotic season in my life, and I'm so grateful for Ashley and to have that partner to like keep the boat afloat and chugging forward, because right now I don't have as much time and energy to devote into this the way that I have had in the past. And what I know is that it's not going to permanently be like this, and that there will be a time, and this is when a business partner or a partner in general is really helpful in these situations, because it ebbs and flows. And maybe there will be a time in the near future where like you don't have the capacity to put as much into that, and then I can be the one to kind of carry it up, you know?
Yeah.
And so just know that if you are in a busy season or like this doesn't feel like you can do both right now, sometimes it's just continually showing up even when the days are hard and long to grow through it so that you can eventually be on the other side of it. And just remember to always protect your peace and do what you can. And we had times this season where we had to just skip a week. It was going to add more stress than it needed to. And at the end of the day, we always remind ourselves, like, this is a passion project. If we're not feeling creative, we're not feeling inspired.
Yeah.
No one's forcing us to show up here.
There's no pressure. It's just us.
Exactly.
And back to the passion project, these things are supposed to fuel you. Like, if that's life, like doing both is hard. It's really hard. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
So you have to give yourself grace. And I think we've kind of moved into the busy season point here.
Yeah.
Like, you have to just, it ebbs and flows. Like, take what comes when you have that spurt of energy. Thankfully, mine's still riding high. I'm like, let's get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Because I know on the other side, like, there'll be a lull. Like, I'll be exhausted. Like, you never really know. So just take it as it comes. It's not that serious.
No.
If 80% of the time you are doing both and 20% of the time you just don't have it in you, that's okay, because the majority of the time, like, you are moving the needle forward.
This is making me think of, like, we need to figure out a way to see what everyone's both situation is. Like, how fun if we had a listener write in where people are like, I'm a nurse and I am a nail tech. Like, I am an investment banker and I'm a DJ.
Yeah.
Wait, like, we should incorporate that and, like, read people's stories.
No, I love that.
Okay. Check out Instagram in the near future.
Okay, so cute.
So good. Okay. And lastly, especially if you have like a busy life during the week, weekends are really important. And I think weekends, some people are like, oh, but it's my time to recharge, or it's my time to do all the things, or the adulting things, like make my doctor's appointments, or maybe it's my time to just be a mush on the couch and hang out with my friends and my partner. But this is also your time to work on your side project. And it doesn't need to be that overwhelming. It's literally carving out 2 hours on a Saturday or Sunday before you get to all the fun stuff. And like we mentioned, this should be fun, but the weekends are your opportunity to get ahead and to feel less drained during the week with all the things that you have going on.
And the final piece of this all, and to kind of take us home, is have fun with doing both. Like, doing both is fun. The entire reason to do this, we've said it throughout the episode, it's supposed to fuel you. It should be something you're passionate about. It's not that serious. Have fun with it and see where it takes you. But, like, take the leap, get started.
Yeah.
The only thing stopping you is you.
Something that I always have to remind myself with is, do you want to be fearful of things not working out, or do you want to be fearful of living with regret and like never trying what's kind of been in the back of your mind or something that you've always wanted to do? And I want to live to my last day and be like, I tried things. I did things. I didn't just sit on the sidelines and watch other people do and live the life and create the products and pursue the passions that I was too scared of doing for myself. So anything is possible. You just have to be strategic, and hopefully this episode has inspired you, but also given you actionable tips to translate this into your life with your 9-to-5s and your passions. And if you don't have anyone to keep yourself accountable in your immediate circle for whatever reason, if you don't have somebody, you should probably reevaluate your circle. But please, like, view us as that. Like, we would love to hear what you're doing, how we can support, how we can keep you accountable. Like, truly, this is what building a bolter community is all about. So don't be a stranger. We'd love to support you in your journey.
Yeah.
Aww. We love you. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please share with a friend, like, subscribe, do all of the things to give us some extra love. And we will talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Thank you. Bye.